Hello, welcome to what has become one of my favorite videos of the month, also known as the monthly reset video. I always call it a reset. I do realize it's kind of more of like a reflect and prep, so this may be getting a name change soon. I haven't decided yet, but this is our third little installment in monthly resets. First October, then we did November, and now we're all the way to December. No need for a long intro because I find myself talking way too much throughout these videos regardless. My goal is for this month to be a bit shorter than last month's. Last month I went a little wild with it and it was a 48-minute long reset video. But as always, I will do the little chapters down in this bar so that if there are sections you are more excited for or less excited for, you can kind of skip around and just focus in on what is most interesting to you. Look, this is my little plan for the video. I went pen and paper for it. Starting with the monthly reflection, looking back at November, same questions that I have been reflecting with for the past few months. Sorry, try to ignore the deforestation that is happening outside my window. I'm actually quite upset by it, but they're taking down trees. So after this video, I may go chain myself to a tree and protest. Depends on the mood. What went well this past month? I feel like I need to go back and look at my Google Calendar to see like what I even was up to this month. I worked a lot. I don't know how. I don't know how my hours felt so different than what they have been in the past, but I feel like I was always at work. I began the month with that week of training. So I had that motivational interview training, and then I started a new volunteer opportunity with restorative justice, which I go all deep into in the vlogs, but I had 2 full days of training for that too. I feel like with how my days worked out, I didn't have as many just off days, which I think probably plays into the fact that I felt like I was working all the time. Like looking back, it looks like I have just one day that was almost entirely off, and I still did YouTube work on it. Nothing too crazy, but just one day that I actually like relaxed and treated myself and everything. But I did attend 2 book clubs this past month, which I was hoping to do, and so I was glad that I actually executed that. And I also went on a trip home. I haven't decided yet which order these videos will be posted in, but either my hometown vlog will be posted next after this one, or it will have been the one that was just posted. So I did get to go home for about 4 days around Thanksgiving. That being said, the things that went well, I think, are the fact that I was able to go home. It's the first time that I've been home since May, and even in May I was only there for like a day and then 2 days, so it really wasn't that long of hangout chill time at all. And then before that, the last time I was home was last Christmas, so I almost feel like it's been a year just because the May trip it wasn't even in a video. I don't even know if you knew that I went home, but it was good to be, back with my family, with my dogs and my house and my hometown, kind of reconnect with the roots. Some other things that went well is that I do feel like I really stuck to goals this month, which we'll have a goals section I think coming up next, so you can see that in specifics. But I felt really proud of myself with some things that I accomplished and habits that I focused on this month, which is always a good feeling. And then also I really read a lot this month, which I feel like went well. It was fun for me. What did not go so well this month? I think I reached a point of feeling overwhelmed again, which I always obviously try to avoid. I really do apologize about this saw that's going on. I'm just waiting to see like a tree fly past my window. But yes, I did get very overwhelmed. I don't know if time management was more poor or if I truly was working more hours. I almost want to look and see if I was working more hours this month, because it just really felt like it. And it just got to a point where I was so emotionally exhausted, physically exhausted, mentally exhausted, and that's never a fun place to be. Another thing that I feel like, quote, didn't go so well is just the fact that I'm starting to get antsy towards like the next season of life again, which I'm really trying to combat by reminding myself that I used to be antsy to arrive at this season of life. So like I don't want to wish it away, but also the fact of the matter is that I get excited from like planning things and imagining potential futures and everything. And I think this month, I don't know why it kind of went higher or anything, but I did start to get just like really antsy, just kind of like excited for all that is to come in my future, but also to a point where then I'm just like done with right now and ready for that to happen. And that's the part that I want to avoid. What challenges did I face this month? I feel like I already kind of touched on it. Just the feeling like I couldn't keep up, feeling overwhelmed, feeling really busy, and not taking time for myself. What was I grateful for this month? Good books. I'll talk about all the good books I read this month in a couple minutes. I felt really grateful for YouTube. I've just really been enjoying watching other people's videos, and I've also been really liking the videos that I've been putting out, especially ones that I put out this month. So I found myself feeling really grateful like for the platform, but then also just for like my previous self 2 years ago choosing to start posting on this platform, because it has been 2 years now. I don't think I've mentioned that, but 2 years on YouTube. And then I've also been grateful for just like my body and my ability to do fitness and stay active and everything. I feel like I prioritize prioritize that this month in a way that felt fun and felt exciting and felt happy, which I'm grateful for. What habits did I focus on this month? Skincare. You know, I've been focusing on skincare for the past several months, and obviously like it's a slow process, a slow journey, but I do feel like my skin has been improving. As of right now, I'm not wearing any foundation again. So this is the real. This month I started retinol, which I've never used before. I'm still obviously using Haldi skincare, which is always linked down in my description if you want to take the free quiz to get like personalized skincare recommendations for yourself as well. But that's what I've continued to use and the products that they recommended me, and I've really been loving it. Even just in the sense of having probably like 5 to 10 minutes every night that it feels relaxing. I feel like I'm taking care of myself. So the self-care aspect of skincare too, I've been enjoying, but then also just like the actual focusing in on the habit I've been enjoying as well. But other habits that I focused on: reading, which like I said, we'll get to, it'll be a section. Walking. I really walked on the treadmill like a whole lot this month, and that kind of tied hand in hand with reading, because most of the times that I'm walking, I am reading on the treadmill, which again is just fun, mental, relaxed time while also still being physically active. So it's just been a good activity for me recently. Highly suggest. And then also I feel good about where I've been at fitness and workouts wise. Am I satisfied with how this month went? Yes. So heading into the next section is looking at the goals that I created for myself last month, and did I achieve those? Beginning with the YouTube goals, I had a goal of 2,500 subscribers, which we did meet this month. I've said this before, but I really don't ever feel disappointed by a subscriber amount. Like if I hadn't reached that goal, I really wouldn't be disappointed by it, but I think it is fun to celebrate milestones and just kind of see how the community grows and who's like joining the community of watching these videos and seeing you all chat in the comments and everything. It's just fun for me to witness, and then also gives me reason to continue posting the videos that I enjoy and making them and spending energy on them, all of that. I had a goal to make $150 in AdSense, which, to be fair, I'm filming this on the 30th, and whenever YouTube calculates income, it does it a couple days delayed, and so as of right now I have not met 150. It's at I think 140, so there is the chance that once today finishes and the money that I make on today and yesterday that hasn't been calculated in yet, there is the chance that it'll reach 150, but I do think it'll be just a hair below. I had the goal to post 8 videos, at least one of which would be a sit down video, and I posted 7 because I forgot that Thanksgiving was on a Thursday, and I just didn't want to post on the Thanksgiving holiday, just because I know that people, whether they did a traditional Thanksgiving or if you don't celebrate on that day, a lot of people were spending time like with their families or slowing down or being grateful or prepping for Black Friday shopping, so I just decided to not post on that day. So it was 7 videos, and 2 of them were sit down videos. So I feel fine. I feel like I achieved it even if I didn't. It was the November reset routine, which was technically a sit down video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vlogs, and then the moral injury video, which was like a traditional type sit down video where I was just talking. I had some fitness goals that I made last month. I wanted to do 25 workouts in the 30 days. I believe that I did 23 workouts, which again, I feel satisfied with. I feel like I met my goal even if I didn't technically meet my goal. I wanted to continue walking, which I definitely did, and I wanted to continue having the mindset of fitness dedication over motivation, like just deciding that I would be going to the gym, whether or not in the moment I felt like I actually wanted to, just being truly dedicated. And I feel like I did that and like got into the habit of just going kind of no matter what this month, which is definitely different than it has been in some previous months. I had just one career goal last month, and that was kind of just like to devote myself to the new volunteer opportunity that I had, the restorative justice one, and I feel like I did do that. We had those 2 trainings, so it was 16 hours worth of training that I completed, and then there will be some time now between now and when I might actually start doing like cases for that, but I technically have been trained, so goal check. And then the habits goals that I created for myself were to go all in on skincare, which I did do, and my budget says the same thing, and then also to continue reading. And I read a lot this month, so that one was also a success. They really weren't even being this loud with the saws until I started filming, like truly. But moving into what I earned this month and what I spent this month. So if you are not aware, I have a social work job. I also make money off of YouTube. I have a tutoring job that I did not do at all this month, and so my income breakdown was at this month for my social work job, I made $2,890. $290.07, which is $230 more than last month. So maybe I did work a few more hours. I haven't really gotten paid for the second half of November yet, so I don't really know, but $230 more than last month, just with how the hours fall. With YouTube, I made $890.58, which, remember, not all of the AdSense has been calculated yet, so that could go up a couple dollars, maybe up to $10 more, but as of right now, that's $20 more than I made last month, so it's an increase. And my YouTube money just sits in a little savings account that I don't touch, so whenever I budget and everything, I don't budget in the YouTube income. This month, I made $0 off of my tutoring job because I did not do it at all, but I also made $45 from babysitting, so I included that in there. Now, with what I spent this month, I'll do the pie charts like I have usually done that I've just been loving. This first pie chart, I'm including my investment and savings category. This month, I contributed $2,000 to my Roth IRA, and I also saved all of that YouTube income that I mentioned. But as far as the more interesting spending goes, this pie chart just takes out that investment category just so you can see the breakdown of the other categories a lot better. A lot of these are really similar to where they were last month. In my quote-unquote functional category, just because I didn't know what else to call it, I paid 60 cents in my library fees because I had a couple overdue books. Housing this month was $752.95, and that's just kind of all encompassing. I mentioned this pretty much every reset video, but we split a 2-bedroom 3 ways, and so that helps my rent be cheaper. Also, there's deforestation happening outside my window, so maybe that could help my rent be cheaper too. I don't know. For food, I spent $158.34 this month. In the travel category, I spent $523.50. This is partly a monthly installment payment for an EF Ultimate Breaks trip that I'm taking a few months from now. It's actually kind of getting closer. And then I also included the Uber that I had to take to the airport in that travel cost. Subscriptions, $10.98. That is Spotify and iCloud storage subscription that I just pay monthly. For YouTube expenses, I paid $166.58, which is the monthly installment to the laptop that I bought in September. The health and wellness category is $280.40. This is the category that last month I had said I wanted to decrease, and it is almost exactly the same that it was last month. So some things that factored into that, I did stock up on skincare whenever Holiday was having their Black Friday sale. I got my nails done, and I got some new like fun hair products that I want to try out. So I guess things just added up. For money spent on my car this month, I spent $57.02, which was for gas, which is $30 less than last month. So I think it was, I only filled up twice instead of having to fill up 3 times. In my love for me category, this one is higher than it was last month, but this includes the purchase that I made at Half Price Books whenever I got myself a book and a puzzle. This includes decorations that I got for Christmas, but the most hefty chunk of that category is my laser hair treatment, which is $165. I really tried to put my laser hair treatment in the health and wellness category, but Zach kind of laughed at me and said that belongs more in the love for me category, so that's why it's there. In the love for others category, there's $76 that went to the children that I sponsor through Compassion International. In the house category, I guess different than housing, I made a house category, $39.18. This was this little Christmas tree that I got, as well as a candle that I got. I don't know why the candle I feel like it's hard to make good categories for budgeting, but the candle I counted in house. And then there's also $25 that should be getting refunded. That got stolen from me from Starbucks. I talked about it in the holiday spirit vlog if you want to be in on my perils, but so far my $25 has not been refunded to me. So technically that was an expense this month, but it should be coming back to me. So hopefully it actually does. And then budgeting for the next month, honestly, a lot of it looks exactly the same. I feel like I'm at a point where my life is not changing too much month to month, but I'm going to budget $700 for rent. My plan is to send $750 to savings again. My EF Ultimate Break payment will be $456, Spotify $9.99, iCloud 99 cents, laptop $166.58. Nails, I'm budgeting $120 because I usually get them done every 3.5 weeks, and December it's just so happening where I'm pretty sure I'm going to get it done twice, like right at the beginning of December and right at the end of December. So $120. Gas, I'm gonna budget $100. I think it'll be less than that, but I don't know, this all feels abstract. The laser hair monthly one will be $165.59, and then I plan on sending another $1,000 to my Roth IRA, which honestly with all that budget doesn't leave too much room for fluffiness. So we'll just have to see at the end of this month kind of how everything goes. Living off just my social work income, my part-time social work income and not the tutoring income is definitely a little tighter, but also like definitely still doable. But this is the first month that I received absolutely no paychecks from my second job, and so things were a bit tighter than they have been in the past. And I don't necessarily mean that I denied myself things and that's why it was tighter, but just like in the extra money left over, it was a bit tighter than it has been in the past. Now, what I've been so excited to talk about, looking at the analytics from these videos, sometimes this section is the least watched. But what I read this month, a reading wrap up. I've been tempted to start making reading wrap up videos just like by themselves monthly on my channel, but also I fully understand that I'm not like a reading channel, and I also fully understand that the chances of me reading this many books every month are very slim. But if you ever see a reading wrap up video pop up in your feed from my channel, just know that it's probably because I'm really excited about it and I'm living out my booktube dreams and would love the support. But as for now, we'll just keep it as a little installment in these videos. This month though, I read 14 books, which is 6 more books than last month, and total it was 4,849 pages, which is about 2,000 more than I read last month. So November was a reading month. Now, part of that is the fact that with the little like Thanksgiving home trip that I took, I read a lot each of those days, but also part of that was just I was having fun with it. So the moods that I read this month mostly were emotional, mysterious, and dark. Love that for myself. The genres, thriller and contemporary tied, then we have romance, then we have mystery, then we have crime, and then a couple further down there that was just 1 book each. This is the page breakdown in November. You can see that it got a lot higher towards the end of the month around Thanksgiving whenever I was at home. But the books themselves, I'll go in the order of least stars to most stars. I read Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, which I have heard so many people talking about. I rated it 1.25 stars because I honestly just really disliked it. It's a thriller about a couple who goes for like a snowy little getaway in a cabin, and there's some like creepy things and everyone's keeping secrets and nothing's quite as it seems. But I just found it to be one of the books that had too many quote unquote twists that I just didn't find myself interested in. I didn't care about the characters, and I was very strongly unimpressed. So it was 1.25 stars. But other people like it, so you can still give it a chance if you want to. Coming in next was Triptych by Karen Slaughter. So Karen Slaughter is an Atlanta-based author. I forget the names of her books that are like more widely known right now. There are some of her most recent releases that people like really like. Triptych is the first in a series, like the Will Trent series, which is like a detective that just gets followed throughout like 20 books or so, and you don't have to read them in order or anything, but I just thought it would be kind of fun to start in the beginning. I believe Triptych was published in, I think it was like 2006, so it was a while ago, and it honestly read like it was published around then in 2006. I ended up giving it 2.25 stars. I honestly kind of enjoyed my experience reading it. Like, it was pretty page turning. I was very interested in the story. It was an okay read. Honestly, I knocked off a star because it was so gory at some points that I just like hated. I just didn't like the gore, and I know some people do like the gore, so that wouldn't be a reason for them to knock off a star. But then the other reason that I knocked off a star was that Karen Slaughter is a white author and she used racial slurs throughout the book, which is icky, and I think that she has learned and matured and grown in her more recent books from what I've heard. I haven't read any of them yet, but that's how it ended up being 2.25 stars. I am planning on reading the rest of the Will Trent series, just like kind of making my way through them slowly. I have the second one from the library now that I'll probably try to read this upcoming month. But I like that they take place in Atlanta because like I know the streets. She talks about locations that like I walk by every day or I drive by on my way to work, or it's just really fun, I feel like, to read books that take place where you are. So that's why I liked it, and that's why I'm picking them up. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I gave it 2.25 stars. I just don't think it was a good romance to me. I was not expecting all of the little smutty scenes, and by little smutty scenes I mean very smutty scenes. It kind of turned me off from the book, which I get, again, is personal opinion, but also it's my own personal opinion that rates the stars. So 2.25 stars. I also gave it 2.25 stars to The Marrow Thieves by Sherry Dimmeline. This was a book club book for me this month, and honestly a lot of people in my book club really enjoyed it. I think for me, why I didn't enjoy it is that it's a speculative fiction, so a little bit different from dystopian in that it's more realistic, and it talks about a time in the near future whenever pollution gets so bad that the earth basically just starts doing its little climate change thing, but it starts to drive people mad, and essentially people who are not indigenous lose their ability to dream at all, and the only people who can dream anymore are indigenous people. It's found out that the dreams are held in the bone marrow of indigenous people, and so indigenous people start getting rounded up and kidnapped and put into quote-unquote schools where their bone marrow gets harvested, and so the people that we follow are on the run from that. But honestly, I think the reason that I didn't like it is just that it made me so uncomfortable, and the argument could definitely be made that that means that it's good, that it did its job, job because it made me so uncomfortable, but just because of that I didn't enjoy reading it. And I think that's just like a speculative fiction thing for me, is that I don't like reading books about climate change. I don't like reading books that are so realistic about how the world could really screw up and really be awful, because I feel like there's enough awfulness that's already happening that lots of times it just makes me feel anxious. And so this book did that well, but that also means that I didn't like it. I gave 2.5 stars to People Person by Candace Carty-Williams. It's a cute story about family, a little contemporary fiction, a relatively new release. It didn't take too long to read. It's not at all a bad story, but it just wasn't like too stand out to me. Oh my gosh. Gave 2.75 to Nora Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan. This is a romance about a woman who is a screenwriter, and there's a movie being filmed at her house, and the like hot hunky superstar that is the actor in the movie, they cross paths and then they fall in love. It was very insta-lovey to me, and I just really didn't care. Like, it was cute and lighthearted, but it wasn't the romance for me. I gave 3.5 stars to The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. It was interesting. Basically, it's about a woman who lives on a lake, and she can see her neighbor's house across the lake and like uses binoculars to watch them sometimes, becomes like involved in them sometimes, but then sees them fighting one night, and then the wife disappears. And so she then is trying to figure out what happened there, what's going on there. I did not see the twist at the end coming, but I also wasn't sure that I liked it all that much, and so it just ended up being 3.5 stars. Like, I definitely think it's a book that I would recommend reading, but I didn't like it as much as the other Riley Sager book that I've read, which was Home Before Dark. I liked that one a whole lot. I gave 3.5 stars to The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks. It was a little, I think it's called a domestic thriller. It's like about a couple and the therapist, who is actually not a therapist because she got her license revoked because she does unethical therapy, and that she kind of acts as like a private investigator and gets really involved in the couple's lives. It had me until like the last 20-30 pages, and I felt like the ending was cheap. I really enjoyed the book, but the ending just did not satisfy me. It felt very cheap and I didn't really believe it. So 3.5 stars. I feel like I'm being negative. Like, I liked some of these books, I just am picky. Moving into the 4 stars, I gave 4 stars to The Wilder Woman by Ruth Emmy Lang. This was a really cool book. It was magical realism, which I think I really like reading. I haven't read too many of them, but it's in our world. Like, it takes place in reality, but there's just a little hint of magic that goes on. But The Wilder Woman is 2 sisters who are going looking for their mom, who essentially ran off 5 years earlier, and they want to find out where she went. Emotional book, a little bit mystery going on as they're like looking for the mom, and I enjoyed it. I gave 4 stars to A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. This is the same author that wrote The Kite Runner and that wrote And the Mountains Echoed. I read this book before, I believe in like middle school, maybe like early high school. I don't exactly remember when. It's a tough book. It's really a tough book, but it's written well. I feel like it's like kind of a classic. Maybe not as widely known as The Kite Runner, but I feel like similar vibes as The Kite Runner. But the main characters are women. So 4.25 stars to Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubeka. I really enjoyed this book. It was really good. In it, 2 women and a child go missing in this town, and it's 11 years after that happened when the child reappears. And so then the whole story is finding out like what happened around the time that they went missing, what's happening now, what they can find out, who's involved, and it definitely ended in a way that I was not expecting. I did not see it coming. 4.75 stars to Carrie Soto Is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is Taylor Jenkins Reid's most recent book, and it's about a tennis star who is coming out of retirement to play again. I really just like Taylor Jenkins Reid's style. It's easy to read while still getting you really emotionally invested, I feel like, and it really was a great book. I really enjoyed it. I've seen reviews that other people were really disappointed by it, but I really loved it. 4.75 stars to The Hotel Nantucket by Ellen Hildebrand. I believe this is her newest book as well, but I also just love Ellen Hildebrand's writing and her books, and it makes me want to be on Nantucket forever. And then a 5-star read this month was Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This is my second Emily Henry book. I listened to People We Meet on Vacation a while ago, and that one I think was like 3 stars to me. It was very middle of the road. Book Lovers, I knew it was going to be 5 stars just like a little bit into it. I absolutely loved the story. I loved the vibes. I loved the way that books play a role in this story, and randomly throughout there were some like really good lines that I, for the first time ever, found myself tempted to like go buy my own copy because I was reading a library book, go buy my own copy so I could be highlighting and saving some of the really good lines in this book. Loved Book Lovers. Like, I'm probably biased because I just finished it a few days ago, but I feel like it might be my favorite book of the year. And there was a little like happy tear that slid down my cheek as I finished it. It was great. Location change because the cutting down trees was getting absurdly loud. It wasn't even loud until I started filming today, but since I'm filming this on the 30th, it has to be today. So we're sitting in front of the kitchen. Now moving into the YouTube section, which I did for the first time last month. Sitting right now on this dashboard, you can see that the holiday spirit vlog was my most recent vlog. It was not doing as well as some of the more recent videos. As you can see, it's ranked 9 out of the past 10, which is fine. And I'm currently sitting at 2,539 subscribers. But we're gonna move over into the analytics, and we're also going to move to where it just shows us November, so we can see just all of this and compare it to last month. So as you can see, this month had 11,900 views, which is about 800 less than last month, which is totally fine. For watch time hours, it was 1.1 thousand watch hours, which last month it was 1.2. So despite having 800 less views, the watch hours were not that much further down, which is kind of cool. Subscribers gained, last month it was 221. This month so far it's 203. And then the estimated revenue last month was 128.78, and this month so far for what it's calculated is 140.58. And you can see this little chunk section right here is what is still processing. So this is really only showing until the 28th. The highest earning day was weird. I still don't know how, like, what happened with this, but one day I made $24.80, and you can see, so this is November 11th, my views are not higher up on that day. What it really was like the rate per view went up significantly on one of the videos. I mean, no complaints, but it's weird that happened. So $24.80 was my highest earning day, and then yeah, Thanksgiving was the lowest earning day, which makes sense because, as I said, it's Thanksgiving, and I also didn't upload on that day, and I usually would on Thursdays. Content-wise, the top videos that were viewed in November are the What I Wish I Knew Before I Majored in Social Work, Ecological Systems Theory for Social Work, The Day of the Life of a Social Worker in Jail, and then this one is actually new, The Day in the Life of a Social Worker. That was posted at the very end of October, so kind of cool that it made the top 5 videos of this month. And then lastly, A Complete Guide to UA Housing. Those top 5 videos remain relatively the same because they rank in YouTube search, which is how most of my views come. As you can even see over here, how viewers find your videos. This is the same as last month in that it is mostly YouTube search. The search terms are things like social worker day in the life, social work, day in the life of a social worker, social work major. So all things that make sense as far as that goes. In short, too much chaos going on in this video. In long, whenever I was just sitting there, I saw a roach crawling across the floor, and so I had to take care of that, and then I had to emotionally recover. We're fine. It was an outdoors one, so it was big, but that also means that it's not living in here. It's just because they're messing around with the trees outside, I suppose, that it got lost in here. So returning back to the video so I can feel some joy in my life again. The videos that brought the most subscribers into the channel this month were the What I Wish I Knew Before I Majored in Social Work, Day in the Life of a Social Worker in Jail, Ecological Systems Theory, Micro, Meso, and Macro Social Work. So that's kind of interesting because it was not one of the top viewed ones, and Social Work Careers in 2022. So again, all those searchable videos. Now, what I also want to look at is last month I set a little challenge that the ratio of subscribers to non-subscribers would go up, that more people would be subscribed that are actually watching the video. And this month, watch time from subscribers, 35.1% are subscribed and 64.9% are not, which means that there is a higher percentage of people who are subscribed who are watching the videos than last month by about 2%-ish, which is an increase. So awesome. Good job with that challenge. Hopefully that's a stat that can just kind of keep evening out as the months go on, but overall feeling, good about the YouTube growth. I think the analytics are fun to kind of spend just a little bit of time in each month just to get a check-in on how everything's going, what's going on, and I know it can be interesting sometimes. Something new that I want to do this month is making a couple bullet journal spreads, and one of the ones that I want to make is going to be a YouTube milestone one, so I'll make that at some point and show you before the video is over. But why I'm bringing up the spreads is that we are going to start talking about new goals that I have upcoming into the last month of the year. With my goals this month, it's going to be a little bit different just because, as I said, like most things don't change all too much in my months, month to month nowadays. And as you can see from the past few videos, a lot of my goals have been like, well, I just want to keep doing this. I just want to keep doing this, which I think is cool, but something that I felt inspired by as I was scrolling through TikTok the other day. I'll insert the TikToks here. But I want to do this. I want to have my goals be things that I'm implementing into the month that will help me feel you know, rested, recharged, not just physically, but all of the other, you know, the 7 types of rest, that type of deal. And so with that, I don't know what the plan yet for these specific days is, but I do want to do, as she mentioned, 5 wellness activities. It doesn't have to be a whole day, but just 5 wellness activities, 4 solo dates, 3 outdoors hikes or walks. I'm going to try for these to be more fun than just walking around the neighborhood, but we'll kind of see like what is available. 2 times kind of dedicated to learning a new skill or doing something new that I don't usually do. And then I don't know if I'll be able to do this all that well, but I'm going to try for 1 day no phone. I think my exception to that will be that I'll let myself listen to like audiobooks or podcasts if I want to, or music or something like that, but I'll try to not just like endlessly scroll on TikTok or any of those. And then the couple of things that aren't necessarily goals, but are just things that I've been wanting to get done and I'm going to try to get done in this month is to just kind of start thinking about the new year. Obviously, whether it's going to be any kind of habit changes or goals or just reflections on the past year, whatever it may be. If it's going to be end of the year videos, if there are any end of the year videos that you would be interested in, let me know. I'm a big reflection kind of gal, so I mean, I'm excited for it. And then just the other kind of small activities is I want to make a donation, like kind of just offload things that I've been wanting to get rid of for a while and make a donation to a thrift store in town. And then I also want to repot plants because that's just a task that I've been putting off, and several of my plants could definitely benefit from being repotted. Okay, I've got the little spreads that are not at all perfect, but I also I like the fact that they're there and that they're mine. The spread that you've probably seen on the side, this is like my little page calendar that I made for myself. And so it was because I went a little hold happy at the library, meaning I had a lot of books, well still do have a lot of books that will all be coming due pretty soon. And so I was like, well, I'm gonna need to be strict about like my pacing here with these books if I'm gonna get through all of them. And I accidentally went out of order of the books. So basically each of these is a day. These are my Carrie Soto's back days. The blue was on time and then purple has been early. And then after that I read Book Lovers, and then I was supposed to read The Summer of Broken Rules next, but I forgot that, and I read Local Women Missing next. So now I'm in The Summer of Broken Rules. That's what this is. I feel like it's my brain being organized. You know, I have my little ways, like the big whiteboard. This is one of the ways. Over here is the December, just like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 of the different goals of 5 wellness activities, 4 solo dates, everything that I mentioned. And I just figure I'll fill in the square with like the day and what I did once they're done, so then I can kind of just look back and keep track of that. And then the next thing, you might hate it if you need uniformity, because I just freehanded all these circles, so they're not at all uniform at all, but each of these just is a different 100, so like 2.6 thousand, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, all of those. And I just imagine I'll kind of color them in as YouTube grows, which I think is fun. But thank you for joining this reset video. I feel like it's the most chaotic one I've had, just with the location changing and everything's going on. There's a woodpecker pecking on the wall behind me right now, but still, I don't know, one of my favorite videos. And I got fun things planned for December, so I hope you choose to stick around for that time, and I'll see you next time.